Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Continuum. Today, we're going to be, I'm going to be reviewing a sort of a controversial movie that came out, I think, the last few weeks called Cuties. I've seen some other reviews on this, and obviously, it hasn't had many, if any, good reviews whatsoever. But I decided to give it a look, and it was. So we say, what's the word? Shocking in parts due to, some provocative, outfits and dance moves and everything else, which they had obviously young girls perform. However, that wasn't the point of the film. Now, my reactions, obviously, before I watched the film, as I said, I saw some other reviews. I went into it feeling, with some. Obviously, going into the movie with a certain mindset that this was going to be a bad film. I heard there was a lot of nudity and things like that, so I was expected to be completely outraged by the film, which I wasn't. However, there were a lot of bad things in that film. But saying that, I'm not sure if I've watched an edited version, which could only be shown here which would only allowed to be shown here in Europe, because I know Netflix here in Europe is very different to Netflix in the US. For instance, there are shows and movies that will show here that won't show in the US or in other countries, and likewise the other way around. So I'm not sure if I've seen an edited version, because I've heard there was nudity and everything else in this film, which I didn't see in it. So, maybe some people just, sort of over embellished the on the film. So first of all, we're going to go into the chat. So far, we've got LDG Pixels. He says, "I'm sorry, but not more about this." Okay. I can understand. There have been a lot of reviews on that. Major Summers, my hot take: this film is about the sexualization of young girls. It definitely challenges the audience, but the film does not, in of itself, sexualize the girls. Yeah, I can see a build point. Oh, sorry, that was me. Robbie Duffield, say hello, Robbie. Good to see you. So we've got 3 watching right now. Glad to have you here. So the film, in myself, it reminds me. It certainly gives you. It does challenge the audience. It doesn't challenge the audience. It does make the audience look at the film with a certain perspective, which really doesn't come until at the end of the film. And it reminded me very much of 2 other. One was a film, one other film and a TV show called Black Mirror, the episode called 15 Million Credits. Now, the movie I'm talking about that did something very similar. This was back in the very early 80s, about 1980, 1981, 1982. It was a German film called Christiane F. Wir Kinder vom Bahnhof Zoo, or The Children of the Train Station Zoo, which was about a big drug epidemic in Berlin at the time. And the director used children from the ages, I think, 13 up to 16, ranging from about 13 up to 16. And, it was about a girl who got into drugs, and, in order to keep affording it, she ended up selling herself on the streets at such a young age. And it was quite horrific. But it made such a huge impact in Germany that the government and the police took notice of this particular film, and they've been hitting hard on drugs ever since. As well, the Dark Mirror episode, 15 Million Credits, that was about a somewhat dystopian future that was essentially. You have to work hard to get ahead, but if you really want to get ahead, it's through entertainment. And one of these people is a young woman who, she has a great singing voice. She has lots of talent, and she performs for a sort of X Factor, American Idol type of judges who don't really care for her voice, although she did have a magnificent singing voice. But they turn her then into a porn star. So she ends up taking the opportunity. She goes into pornography, and it's about not only what people want for entertainment, but also what people would do to get ahead in life, how far they'll go, and also the impact that has then on society. And I think this is what, in my opinion, what Cuties. I keep every time I say the word Cuties, I keep thinking Cuties. So it was Cuties try to achieve with this film. Now, I'm not going to defend the film in any way. It had young girls of the ages of 11 or younger, or about 11, 10 years, 11, 12 years old. And to be honest, they shouldn't have had these actresses do what they did, who these children do, perform these sort of dance routines in the film. They could have gotten older actresses to portray younger girls, but I think what the director was going for was a more impactful message, one that was more, and there were a few messages in this. One, I think, was the outside perspective from an outside perspective of how entertainment has corrupted Western society in a big way. And it does happen. It's been going on for quite a long time, where young girls will perform provocative acts and pretty much do anything to get ahead in life. Maiden Ragsdale, hello, how are you? Good to see you. Robbie Duffield says, Maisie Summers is a very good take, to be honest, if it's stating it's against that. Yeah. Maiden Ragsdale, hello. Maiden, good to see you. I saw one of your videos recently. It was quite good. It was the Big Boss one. Jeff Franklin, hello. Glad to see you. Glad you're here. Hope you're having fun. Jeffrey was here last night for the on the other channel yesterday at the the Question of Trek channel. We had some fun, if not a few delays, unfortunately. So what are you guys talking? Oh, we're talking about the movie Cuties. And so, yeah, we're just going through a review of that. So, yeah, the reactions were quite, my reactions to begin with were somewhat, I was gobsmacked, and not in a good way. But I don't think the movie was, a lot of people say it was about promoting, the sexualization of children for pedophiles and things like that. That's not what this movie was about. Although I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it achieved. The movie, what I think tried to achieve was how the entertainment industry, the entertainment industry sort of promotes sexualization of teenagers. Like, for instance, when I was 16, you had two that came out was Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, and you had the "Hit Me Baby One More Time" video in there where she wore the tight schoolgirl uniform and everything else, which was, for its time, in the 90s at least, was very, very shocking. There was a lot of outrage about that. And Christina Aguilera as well, she did a video of something similar. But these girls were a bit older. They were 16, and I think Christina was 17 or 18 at the time. So, but still, at that time, still quite young to be doing that sort of thing. And the second point is how young girl, when in the entertainment industry promotes this sort of stuff, that young girls see this as a role model for, see these people as role models, that they themselves sort of copy what they see and think, it's perfectly normal. There was a good scene in the movie where one of the girls, it wasn't Amy, not the main girl, it was her friend that lives in the same apartment block or block of flats, if you like, that said, I don't, she was talking about how she doesn't understand why her parents see her as such a disappointment, but yet she's loved by all her friends. And she doesn't understand that what she's doing may be acceptable from her friend's point of view because they're all kind of doing the same thing. But her parents are outraged, and we'll get into this as we're going to go on. Yeah. So, maybe who do like that? Ariana Grande or Britney Spears? Ariana, any day. Britney, you want to stay away from Britney. Anyway, so we're going to get onto the review. So the movie starts off with the girl, with Amy, a young 11-year-old girl on the stage, which we then see later at the end of the film. and she stood on the stage, and the camera's mainly focused on her. It's a very close shot, and she's just about to cry. And then it skips forward as the credits go on. Her young Amy is part of a Muslim family. She just moved in with her mother and her two younger siblings, her younger brother and the new baby. The father is away at the moment, preparing to get married because, as I said, they're from a Muslim family. And the father is taking a second wife, which obviously shows in the movie where the mother starts crying because although she loves her husband, she has to respect the religion and her own culture. She's not happy about it. So Amy, as she's looking around the new area, and she's going down to the laundry room. She meets another young girl. Who doesn't ignore her, but she sees her sort of using the iron as a hair straightener, and they get to sort of know, they get to meet, they shake hands, hello, how you doing? And then the next day she goes to school and she sees the girl who lives with her, but she's now sort of part of the cool crowd that are in her same year. And the others sort of might start picking on her. They make fun of her. They throw her books on the floor. They try to throw her school bag into the trash and everything else. And they give her a lot of grief. But in the end, she does sort of become part of the group, and as well as part of them, the dance troupe, if you will. At that point, so far, not a lot has happened, and then she sees them dancing. She comes to a point where she sees them, she sees them going through a dance routine, and she wants to join in, but she doesn't know how. And she does become part of that group, and they sort of pick on her because her breasts haven't developed as well as theirs have, and they make fun of her bottom because again, she's not as developed. She's an 11-year-old girl, nor should she be that developed, but they're all wearing sort of tight, provocative clothes. And then she starts doing stupid stuff like she steals an iPhone from, I don't know, I think it might be her uncle. That was never really made clear who this guy was. He was just helping them move into their new place where they're living. And so she starts sort of taking selfies and then edits them with lipstick and gloss on and everything else that on these, like you've got today on social media, you can take pictures and add, bunny ears and things like that. And she puts it on the movie's version of Facebook or whatever. And she starts getting likes. And at that point, once she starts getting likes, she sort of becomes intoxicated from the attention. And then when she starts hanging out with these other girls, they start trying to get the attention of older boys, if not some young men. For instance, she's sent in with the cell phone set on video with the video recorded into the boys' toilets, and they want to get a video of a guy's penis. YouTube's probably going to knock me off for saying that word. I don't know. But anyway, and he screams out, "What the hell are you doing? Get out of here!" Also, we're going into another scene where they're hanging out at the larger girl's house, where the mother's made him some nibbles and brings him some drinks, and they're on this webcam sort of service where they've not got a picture on. But they're talking about, the 5 of them are pretending to be a single girl who's naked, and they're sort of trying to get the attention of older boys. Yeah, it's not something they should be doing. That was quite a bit. That's where sort of the outrage began, I guess. But it's also where it's not something, I mean, as a young boy at 11, 12 years old, again, I was sort of looking at nude magazines, so, of older women, things like that. So the fact that they're doing this as girls, I don't know. It was, as a movie, to put that in a movie, it was somewhat outrageous. But again, it's not something that probably does happen in real life. Anyway, so as it moves along, the larger, while that's going on, because they've got the camera turned off, all they see is the guy at the end of the camera who's about probably 16, 17. When they turn the camera on, and then she throws the laptop at the other girl, who obviously about 11, the lad sees this and he loses his mind. So what the hell is wrong with you? You're just little girls. Get out of here, And And quite rightly so, that's the right way to go about it. However, the girl gets upset because although she was happy while nobody could see her, that they were getting the attention of this older boy on the internet, the fact that a friend turned the camera on, she then obviously lost her mind. And the next day at school, she attacks her, and says, "Well, how could you do this?" So, in one way, they think, getting the attention of older boys and everything else from their perspective is okay, but as long as it sort of then, when the reality, at any moment when the reality hits, it's like they then backpedal. The girls then backpedal and say, "Oh no, this is too much. This is actually too real for me." So she loses her mind with her friend. Can't remember her name now. I forgot her name. So yes, they lose her mind with a friend, and she's no longer part of the group. She's now uncool, and they then carry on with their new friend Amy. Now, Amy is obviously sort of new to Western culture and doesn't understand sort of where to draw the line. So when she starts beginning to do provocative things, when they're rehearsing their dance moves and everything else because they want to get into this competition, she starts taking it a bit to the extreme. She starts showing them how to do things like twerking and stuff like that, which, because from her point of view, this is all sort of new, and she's going to extremes where for the others, because she does something later on which is way too extreme, and they sort of backpedal and say, no, 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 you don't do stuff like that. But I'll get to that in a minute. And so the training, they get a bit of a montage of them sort of practicing their moves, which from their point of view, because they've seen this on music videos and that, and they think it's perfectly acceptable. Because you generally realize that music videos don't have ratings on them like you would do a movie or a TV show. So when they see this other dance troupe on the internet, and one of them, and they're obviously a lot older, they're about 17, 18, 19. One of them does a quick flash of a boob, and they obviously think, obviously what these girls are doing, because they're doing it, it's okay to do that. So they go on and sort of they mimic what they see. Monkey see, monkey do. However, the day of the should we say, the selection process, where they go in front of the judges, comes along, Amy misses by 5 minutes. She gets there too late, but she looks through a window into the next room, and she sees them perform. And that was where one of the real shocking moments comes in, where she's watching them perform in front of the judges, and she's quite proud because they're doing all this stuff that they've rehearsed. But it shows the judges, as the girls are making mistakes in the act, and one of them keeps turning around and saying, "No, no, that's not how you do it like this." And the judges are perfectly fine with this. The judges are like, "Oh, that's okay. You can do it again. Just do it again. Take as much time as you need." Because it's trying to show that these judges, these like X Factor or America's Got Talent kind of judges, judges, or talent scouts, if you call them, are somewhat perverted. They're creeps in the end. They have no moral center. They don't know where to draw the line. As far as they're concerned, it's perfectly all right. In fact, the raunchier the better. So when that finishes, they find her later on at school. So why the hell weren't you there? Says, I was there, but I was there too late. I saw you perform and everything else. They call her a liar and a bitch, and they call her every name under the sun. Which again, there's a lot of explicit language coming from these kids, but again, it's done for a reason. It's not. It was meant. The movie, in my opinion, is meant to It was meant to shock the audience, but not just for the sake of shocking you, but for a reason. And it comes up to the end. Again, that point comes at the end of the film. So they carry on performance. So they kick her out of the group, and they then carry on as normal until obviously the day of the performance. And wrong, I missed a bit out actually. My apologies. There was a point, because I mentioned before that she stole the mobile phone, and the guy who owns it, I don't know if it's her uncle or cousin or what, it was never really made clear in the film. He comes back and he's banging on the door because he wants his cell phone back. So as one last time to put something on the internet, because she knew she was going to lose the phone, she takes a picture of her, should we say, her nether region, her vagina, and it then posts it into the internet, and then throws the phone out the bathroom door and then locks the door. The next day, everyone at school gives her a hard time. They call her a slut. They call her a cow. And, that what she did was too extreme. And her friends see it as well. And they really sort of want nothing to do with her for quite some time. They said, look, you can't be one of us. What you did was too far. You went too far. But again, it said this girl is, she's not, where Western culture has been doing this sort of thing for quite some time, the sort of Eastern culture, especially the Muslim culture, a lot more conservative. I mean, I've been myself out there in the Middle East twice, and things like pornography, alcohol, stuff like that is all banned. You can't show anything that's even semi pornographic. I mean, young girls in scantily clad outfits and everything else doesn't happen out there. Place like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, place like it doesn't happen. Okay, because that's a big no-no. It's against their religion. So she's from a very conservative family. So she's new to all this, and also she starts. She's really trying to sort of find out where to draw the line. Now, again, this movie does go to the point there where it's the corruption of Western society, and also the corruption of the young, where what they see on television seems to be perfectly all right, and they mimic that because these are their role models. And this is what the point that I think the director tried to make throughout this film. So anyway, as I was saying, she took a picture of her nether regions, posted it onto the internet, and when one of the boys at school was picking on her, she ends up stabbing a pen through his hand. So of course, then thrown out of school for the day. She's suspended and sent home. And when the mother finds out what she did, and her great aunt, they both lose their mind. The mother starts hitting her with the belt, say you're calls her a whore and everything else. They say, hey, you're no daughter of mine. I don't know where you came from. You're the devil. They bring in I think he's some sort of priest, a Muslim priest, to sort of cast out, because she thinks her daughter might be possessed by the devil or something. And the guy says, no, look, she's not possessed by an evil spirit or the devil or anything else. She's just a young girl. They also then perform the mother and the great aunt perform some sort of cleansing ritual to sort of, try and get this evilness, this corruption out of her. As they're doing that, she then performs the acts, these very provocative dance acts in front of them. It was quite horrifying, the things that they do, and the areas where the camera focused on as well was very I would say, I'll go as far, it was way, 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 way out of the box. Here's out of the box, and what they did went right out that way. Okay, it was very. It's not something generally you would see in a movie, but again, it's not. These are not the points of the movie. The movie is not about young girls' breasts, young girls' bottoms, young girls' vaginas, or anything else. The movie is about corrupting the young, corrupting society by corrupting the young through entertainment. And we do know that through the entertainment industry does this a lot. I mean, you hear it from all the time, like actors like Elijah Wood, that most of us may have grown up with. We've seen in plenty of movies throughout the sort of late 80s and throughout the 90s. What was the name? Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, and all the others. There's so many who have come out and talked about the pedophilia and the sexualization of children in the entertainment. Even Jamie Lee Curtis herself has, come out. I remember her coming out talking about this at one point, how it sort of horrified her, when she saw these kids doing certain things or getting kids to say things in movies. And, so this was very much a sort of commentary on the corruption of the Western society and the sexualization of children in the entertainment industry, because that's what these girls want to be. They've got stars in their eyes. They want to, they want to become performers. They want to be famous and appealing to, especially to boys. And because they're just reaching, they're just starting puberty, and so they're going through all the, motions, hormones and everything else. So it's like through that eventually, they start doing things that they oughtn't to be doing. There's no self-control. Nobody's really teaching them to have self-control or anything else. However, the parts that what really makes this movie, I think, outrage people is where the camera focuses and what the girls perform. There are certain parts of the dance routine, especially as it comes to the end, where the sorry, I will just make this. It would make you uncomfortable, but the message is good. You will have to be intelligent enough and well-rounded to get that message. Well, yeah, as I said, there were, and it's like these two, like that film I mentioned before, Christiana F. Via Kinder for Barn of Tour, where they showed, this 12-year-old girl injecting heroin and eating heroin and, prostituting herself on the street so she can buy more drugs. She will get into a stranger's car, go off with them and do these really sordid, seedy things so she can get her next fix, and that movie resonated. However, it outraged a lot of people. The same with Train Spotting. I mean, I remember when Train Spotting first came out, there was a lot of outrage on that, and in some areas in the world, it was banned and still is banned today. And I wouldn't be surprised if this movie is the same. Now, I know a lot of other media sources said, "Oh, it's a beautiful movie," which they shouldn't have said. It's not a beautiful movie. This is not a movie that projects feminism out there, and nor should it, especially not at the age. This is about something else. This is about the trouble of the entertainment industry, how it sexualizes children, and not only that, through this corrupts Western civilization. And it does corrupt Western civilization. I mean, there are so many things that we now consider as normal and shouldn't, and something we consider as outrageous and should be perfectly normal. I mean, a good point is this, really, it depends on the context of the film and state of mind. I don't know if anyone knows, but the original Superman movie, Superman, from the 1970s, I think 1977, where it came out, the first Superman movie, directed by Richard Donner, where they send young Kal-El in his spaceship. He lands on Earth, he crashes, and the what's his name, Martha Kent and the husband, I can't remember his name now, find young Kal-El, come out the spaceship, and you see his little. His pee-pee. Anyway, today you would never see that in a movie. But the point of it is, it's not meant to be perverted. You're not supposed to watch that movie with a perverted state of mind. You're meant to watch that movie with a good state, with a good state of mind. Realize it's just a kid. That's it. It wasn't meant to be watched with this sexual, with this sexual objective. And it's the same with this film. However, unfortunately, because we know that there are pedophiles in the world, and we know that there are creeps and sexual predators, that this movie, unfortunately, what it allowed to show, what Netflix allows it to show as well, I would say, would definitely attract the attention of these kinds of people, and get away with it because it's an authorized movie, which it is difficult. Now, I don't think this movie in any way is intended for young girls in any way. This movie was intended for adults, no doubt about it. No sane parent would let their child watch this. And you can tell it and the reason I say it is due to the language with which the girls used. A lot of the F word is used predominantly, a lot. Bitch, and many other sort of profanities are used by these girls. So you can definitely tell it's not meant to be shown to children, which is great. It's up to relying on the parents not to show it. This was made solely for adults. However, unfortunately, it also gives access, obviously, those with a, so we say, with the wrongs of pedophiles, let's say, and creeps and everything else, who subscribe to these streaming services will see this film, and for them, it's you know what I mean. However, I do think this film is meant to outrage people with a purpose. With it being, obviously, you can tell it's a low budget film, and it has the dub overs were not great whatsoever. It had the dubbing was done in some areas quite poorly, and obviously because when you're dubbing something, you can't really project the same emotion or feeling than what you see the character have, because obviously it's a French film. So I would say, it makes it a little bit harder to understand the film as well. But for me, I'll definitely say what it projects is one, this outside culture moving into the West, into this new place, and obviously this young girl being exposed to an already corrupt society that thinks it's acceptable the way they are, and obviously to fit in, she starts to do the same things, but she takes it to the absolute extreme, where even the rest of her, even her friends think this is too far. But anyway, as the movie goes on, she wants to go and take part in the competition, although she wasn't invited. She follows one of the girls who replaced her, follows her. What was it? Maybe someone says subs, not dubs, bro. Oh no, I'm not talking about this. No, I'm not talking about the subtitles. We watched the film in English. It was dubbed over in English here. Subs, not dubs. Yeah, well, I suppose. Yeah, I see a point. You mean it would have been better with subtitles rather than having dubbed over? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see your point. Actually, it probably would have been better to do it that way. Maybe but even then, again, I've seen German. When someone's speaking German, because generally when you watch an action movie and you see someone speaking German and they get the subtitles, because I'm half German and live in Germany, I understand what they're saying, and the subtitles usually are not what's being said. So unfortunately, you can't always rely on subtitles; they're not always correct, unfortunately. But yeah, no, in this case, when they dubbed over the movie, it was quite bad. But you're not wrong, Mary. It does help. Mary also says on Netflix you can select to hear the original French with English. Okay. All right, I'll have to check that out. I'll have to give it another rewatch. But all right, I'll do that. But yeah, as I say, so she throws this other girl into the canal who's having a hard time swimming, and then just sort of leaves her to sort of fend for herself because this girl can't swim. So this girl is not a bit all that right in the head. She's very mean. But then girls can be, I think, especially in the teens. I was made fun of by girls quite a few times. I was not the cool kid at school by any means, by any means. But so she throws this girl into the canal. She looks like she's drowning. She doesn't bother to jump in and help her anyway. She just lets her sort of leaves her to her own devices, let her fend for herself, and she does. She managed to sort of find this buoy to hold on to, and she saved herself like that. In the meantime, the rest of the dance troupe are waiting for this girl that got thrown into Yasmin. That was her name. They're waiting for Yasmin, who got thrown into the canal. And Amy arrives in her outfit, and they're ready to go. I said, "What are you doing here? You can't be here. You're not part of the dance troupe." And I said, "No, well, I'm here. Look, just get on with it." And I said, "Yeah." And the friends agreed. She said, "Yeah, she was better than Yasmin anyway." And then they go onto the stage and they start performing. And this is where the real sort of say the sordid dance moves come in, the things that they do. Major says, have to say that pushing the girl into the canal was the worst moment of the film for me. It was. I think for me, the funniest moment in the film was where the girl finds a condom, who thinks it's a balloon, blows in it, the other girls lose their mind. No, that's a condom. That's what people with AIDS use. He went, what? And then they take her back to the house, and then they wash her mouth. They put soap on her tongue, and then scrub her face and mouth with a Brillo pad or the rough side of a sponge. Because that bit was actually quite funny. Again, though, it depends on your point of view. It is outraged that a young girl should be touching a condom, but they found it, she thought it was a balloon because it was pink. She didn't know what a condom. She didn't know what a condom was. Because that was another part in this film. Actually, they talk a big game. They try to act all grown up by wearing sort of say skimpier clothes, but they have actually no real idea what it is to be grown up. They don't know what it is to be grown up because they're not grown ups. They're just trying to project the image of being grown up while they're not. And there were a few comedic antics at that part, especially that bit with the condom where she thinks it's a balloon, she blows it, she inflates it, and obviously they say no, that's a condom. Someone's obviously used that, and then they pour soap in her mouth and scrub her tongue and her face. Oh, excuse me, something's flying around in it. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that was quite funny. But as I said, they get onto the stage and they start performing this very sordid routine, a very provocative one as well. But as they're doing this, the audience that's watching this, adult audience, is outraged. They're seeing this, the jaws are falling down, their eyes are popping out, not because they think what they're seeing is sexy or interesting, but because they're outraged. They think what they're seeing is disgusting. That these young girls at the age of 11, 12 are performing such very detailed, promiscuous, provocative, whatever you want to use, very sexual acts, to sort of win extra points by the judges. However, at the same time, as you can see, because the audience is sat behind the judges and they're all like, oh my God. The judges are like, yeah, this is really good. This is great. As they're talking to each other, we like this, And the girls at the time are, because they can see the reaction from the judges, they're clearly not looking at the audience, they're focusing on the judges, like the reactions they're seeing. So they go a bit further until the point where Amy stops, realizes what she's doing, and that trying to be more grown up, trying to project herself as an adult, and trying to get ahead to the point that she might become famous isn't worth what she's doing. That she might end up doing this for a very long time, if not for the rest of her life. The rest of the troupe carries on performing. They don't see beyond the stars that are in their eyes. So they carry on. They try to encourage her to continue while they're doing it themselves. But she stops. And tears develop in her eyes. And she starts crying. And then she runs off the stage and goes home, leaving all that behind her. She goes home and she's confronted by her mother's aunt and her mother. And her mother's aunt, her great aunt, shall we say, grabs her and said, what the hell is this? What are you doing? This is the outfit of a whore and not the daughter of a respectable woman. And the girl is outraged. She's crying. She's beside herself. She's sorry. She's very sorry. The mother defends her, first of all, tells the because the grandmother is very conservative, very strict, very, very hard on the girl. But the mother says, you leave my daughter alone. Yeah, it's me that punishes her, not you. Only I get to do that. And the mother is still disappointed. Don't get me wrong. The mother is not happy. She's not doing this. It's not like Dirty Dancing where, first of all, the parents don't accept this style of this sort of lifestyle that baby was doing. But then at the end, oh, it's all right because, she's the star of the film. This is not what this is about. The mother still projects a disappointment in her, very politely, but, she's still disappointed. She's still disappointed. She doesn't shout at her. She doesn't beat her like she did previously in the film. She just protects herself in a way that the daughter understands that the mother is disappointed. And the mother goes off to her husband's wedding because in the Muslim culture, depending on the denomination, I think all of them actually, a man is allowed to take more than one wife. So you don't have to come if you don't want to. And she doesn't. And all you see then is a scene of the dress she was supposed to wear for her father's wedding to this other woman, and the outfit from the dance troupe. And what she's done essentially then is she goes outside in a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, pair of trainers, and just starts playing with the other kids. She's just being a kid again, or she wants to be a kid again, and she just starts playing with the other children, and what they're doing, I think it's called double dutch, where you got a girl at either end of a skipping rope and they're swinging the skipping rope, and she's just jumping over the rope. And the camera begins panning upwards. And as it gets higher, she continues to jump higher. and she's got, and she's jumping up with a big smile on her face. She's happy with the fact that she gets to be a kid, while these other girls are going to go off and do all these, compete in these competitions and do sordid acts, and everyone else is just going to look at them for being essentially slutty and dirty, for the rest of their career, should they have a career in the entertainment industry. She just gets to be a kid again. She's going to, change her ways and be a normal 11-year-old girl and grow up as a normal child should, and that's the way it is. All right. There's a bit where the girls claim the security guard is touching it inappropriate to get out of trouble. It shows they're not completely naive. The next moment they're being kids again. Well, I think, but again, that's the point. That's the thing. These kids knowing things that they shouldn't, but yet they don't know what it means to be an adult. They don't know what it means to be grown up. They know, they know what to say at what particular moment. They, use the right words, use the right term, but they don't know what it means to be a grown up. These girls are corrupted, but they don't. For them, it is the norm. For them, it is normal. If they don't see that they are themselves corrupted, and they've obviously seen these things in entertainments and media and everything else. They did know what they would do. Well, they did know how to react to the situation. Their plan was, their response was reactionary. It wasn't thought out, because the next minute then they received news that they've been entered, that they won a place in the competition, and they start losing their minds. But there was also a point where they showed the guards that they were, their dance routine, that the guard was sort of like, he liked what he saw, and then, sort of sent them on the way. But, so it showed then as well that in adults, there is a somewhat corruption there. And the other security guard wasn't too happy about this, if I remember correctly. As I said, I've only just watched the film today. So this is just a live reaction and review of the film, as I can't remember everything. But yeah, the head security guard, should we say, sort of, his eyes went wide when he saw the dance routine, and then the girls got away. But yeah, it was done badly. But the point of the story is, I think, that entertainment will corrupt children, especially through what they consider to be their role models on media that isn't, so we say, regulated in a way with censored or age ratings. There's no ratings. For instance, when they watch that video of the dance troupe on social media, there was nothing wrong with what they were doing because they were old enough. They were a lot older. They were about 17, 18, 19, where obviously these girls were 11, but because it was on social media and it wasn't, so we say, regulated in any way to put an age rating on that, and it won't be, especially in music videos as well. Music videos, I don't think I've ever seen a music video that had an age rating. But it's perfectly fine. They've seen this, so then they want to do it because they see it as perfectly normal. For them, it's not anything they haven't seen before, because it's just all over the place on social media now. And social media is not regulated in any certain way, and they want to be like them. They see this as their role model, and through that are corrupted. But they and then later, they want to be famous, and they think the more raunchier I am, the more likely I am to get ahead. And that was the point of the film for me. That was the point of this movie. I don't know if I'm not going to recommend you go and watch this film. It's not really that good of a film, or it's not a film to entertain. You're not meant to be entertained by this movie. It's a movie that's trying to project a message. Unfortunately, the film was just done badly. The film had a low budget. The direction wasn't great, and the dubbing wasn't also, was a patchy at best. I don't think it's right to say children are corrupt. They're kids trying to make sense of what they're given. It's the adults and the adult perceptions that are corrupt. Well, yeah, but when you say that, true, absolutely, they're like that with the security guard. I would say the adult perception. There are some, I would say, who have reviewed the movie didn't understand the I think what the message the film tried to convey, and I think they immediately just saw this is for paedophiles, which of course says something, I guess, about them. Maybe, or maybe they just want to do an outrage video and not really do too much of a serious review on the do too much of a more in-depth take on the film. But I watched it. I was expecting to be completely outraged. I wasn't. I heard others say that there was nudity in it and everything else. There wasn't. Not to my recollection, at least. But then again, as I said, Netflix in Europe is different to the States and different other countries. So what I saw might have been an edited version. The only thing I saw was the girl push her underwear and pants down to the side as that guy was trying to get his mobile phone back. She takes a picture, but you don't see the actual parts. You just see her put the phone down there. You hear the camera click, and then she throws the phone at the toilet. So you don't actually see any nudity in the film, which was good. I'm glad. But there are a lot of camera shots where it focuses on certain areas, which I can understand would outrage people. The point was not you yourself to focus on those parts, but to understand what the director is trying to show you, the message the director wants to put out there is that there are certain things that are considered to a degree acceptable, even amongst the young ones, that shouldn't be allowed. I remember when I was at high school, girls coming in because we had to wear school uniforms. Now, uniform had to be I had to wear a white shirt, a black tie, a black jumper, black trousers, and black shoes. And girls were expected to wear a black skirt, black jumper, a white blouse, and black shoes. Unfortunately, though, these outfits got they would have them either tailored or buy shorter skirts or tighter tops to make themselves more attractive to boys. But and we were, but then again, I was, we were all the same age. When I was 16, these what 16-year-old girls were doing. Maisie says, there's one brief flash of a woman's breast. Some thought it was a kid, but it was a legal age woman. I must have missed that bit then. I must have blinked or something. I don't know. I'm obviously missed that bit. Is that when they were watching those girls on the phone? I must have missed that bit then. I'm not going to go back and watch it for that reason. But I said, I'm going to watch the film again. There will be a more in-depth review. As I said, I just watched the film a few hours ago, and I wanted just to quickly talk about it tonight, give a quick review and my thoughts and my reaction to the film. Overall, as a film, it's not, as I said, it's not meant to be entertaining. It's not meant to say, this is a great film, this is entertaining, regardless of what other media outlets have said or, media platforms have said, whether it's a written review or a video review or anything else, especially especially as someone who's being paid to advertise the film. It's not a movie about femininity. It's not a movie about, the movie is not about young girls being provocative. As the point of the film. The point of the film is that these young girls are doing what they're doing because they want to get ahead, because they want to win a competition, but they're going about it the wrong way. And how, because they've seen their role models do it, that they themselves think it's perfectly okay to do that because they want to be like their role models and chasing older boys and things like that because, they think it's okay. And nobody's telling them anything different apart from Amy's mother and aunt, who completely disapprove of what she's doing. Yeah, the phone dance. Okay, I'm going to be watching the film again anyway. I'm not going to. I will be obviously to do a much bigger review because I do think this film. But I think this film is meant to be some way like The Exorcist outraged people, and it was sickening. But it wasn't sickening for no reason. It was what it was in its time, because it was a horror film, but it was a horror because a lot of movies up until that point weren't taken seriously. It wasn't until really into the 70s then movies start becoming these really big blockbuster events. up until then, movies were pretty much, just sort of light-hearted entertainment, and then it became a serious thing. And I think this film, as I said, it wasn't about girls performing lewd acts or something for for paedophiles to watch. And I don't think the director or anyone else that made the film is a paedophile. I think the message of this film is to show that there's a shocking reality of girls who want to get into the entertainment system, entertainment industry, and do what they do. Well, either are told to do these things, from a director or from an agent, anything like be lewd, be provocative, be sexy, and you'll get ahead. Or how entertainment, when we see it, we think it's perfectly fine. Children will then go and copy this and think that's what it is being grown up. That's we've seen grown-ups doing it. Obviously, that's what grown-ups do. So we're going to we're going to try and project ourselves this way because then people think we're growing up. But then there are other parts of the film where they didn't have a clue about things. Like the incident with the condom. The girl didn't know what a condom looked like. Or when Amy had her period, she had her first period, and she was embarrassed, and the great answer, don't worry, it's all right, all girls have gone through this, I'll help you, I'll show you what to do should it happen again. And so it's there is definitely this conflict of what is being a grown-up, what isn't being a grown-up. And there were parts where they were just these girls were just like Maisie said, making the best of what they got. But I still think there is this aspect of entertainment's corrupting young. For instance, one of my things, I think, and to be honest, I do think it corrupts young people. And I tried watching it with my own children, was something called SpongeBob SquarePants. I don't get it. I don't understand how this ever became entertaining. If anything, I think it's like watching SpongeBob SquarePants is like watching an LSD trip. To be honest, my kids think it was hilarious. I didn't think it was great, and when they came to stay with me, I would not let them watch it. I did not approve of SpongeBob SquarePants because it just felt like it looked like an acid trip. To be honest, a 30-minute acid trip, and so I wouldn't let them watch it. What they did at their mothers was something else, But I do just some parts of SpongeBob that I think there were jokes, a couple of jokes in there that kids wouldn't have got, and I didn't let them watch it. And so that's my opinion. Those are my thoughts on the movie. Let me know what you guys think in the chats before we go. I'm gonna, if you want to mention something, say a quick hello, or if you've got, give me a couple of thoughts on what you've thought of the movie. Please mention something in the chat. Just come and say hello. Don't be afraid. While I light a cigarette. No one? No one's got anything to say. Okay, guys. Well, in that case, these are my thoughts on the film. I don't think it was that outrageous, or at least what other people said it was going to be. I will say this though: the movie poster and the trailer give of a very different impression to what the movie is about. I can understand people's reaction to the movie trailer and the poster, because it made it look like a big Hollywood production, which it isn't. The movie was actually a very low budget French film, and it wasn't, I would say, movie worthy. I would not have paid a ticket pay for a ticket to go to the movies to watch that film. The other reason I saw it, decided to watch it, was because I already have a subscription to Netflix, because that's where I watch Star Trek. And there it was, and I heard a lot of controversy about it, so I decided to give it a watch, and that's how I ended up doing this reaction and video review video today, because I wanted to give my Maisie Silver says cigarette, I'm out. Okay, Maisie. Well, anyway, guys, that's all for today. I will do a more in-depth review on this. But in the end, it's not that bad of a film if you have the patience to sit out through the film and really sort of let the message hit you. I think what they did really was just to outrage people enough to put the point across. Yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you for coming. I'm glad you were here, and I'll see you all next time.